the best for you to become very intentional and create the best year possible. So I am going to be going between my cell phone, which is broadcasting live on TikTok, and also the stream that's on Facebook and YouTube. So say hello when you're here, and if you're watching, just quick update. So today, it's amazing. I feel great today. Today's the 30th. My last day of radiation, 28 treatments, was on Thursday, the 26th. So today's the first day that today's the first day of the week that I don't have to go back for any more radiation treatments. So it's pretty cool. Feeling really good. Today's the first day that my brain is working. I mean, I've been through chemo, 28 treatments of radiation, and my brain has not been working. Well, today my brain's working. So, and I feel more clear than I think I've felt in a really long time, which is great because I need to get back to work and I need to get back to life. And while I'm probably, with all of my viewers, like not the only one that's been struggling with health issues, stage 4 lymphoma was a big one this year. So if I am not looking directly at the camera here on TikTok, understand I'm also broadcasting from my desktop at the same time with YouTube and Facebook. But I'm going to just look at both this camera and my other camera. I don't know any other way to do it right now. But hello. Hello. So for those of you that haven't watched me before and don't know who I am, my name is Bernadette Gold, and I have been for the last 25 years an intuitive life coach and high performance coach. And I specialize in things like PTSD. I'm not your typical life coach, and I'm not a therapist, but I have really good track record of helping people break through their biggest blocks because I've done it in my life. I'm a published author, and have written about my experiences and how I learned how to become very conscious and manifest my life deliberately since 1996. So any questions you guys have about, how to get your life on track and how to break through blocks and traumas and things that feel almost impossible, ask them and I will answer them. If you just have life questions or relationship issues, or like, I'm also an alternative health practitioner. I do a lot of things because I approach life from a holistic place. And funny, because I've experienced major health issues throughout my life. But this last year, 2024, has been the year of cancer. And I have not let it take me down. I have definitely let it slow me down, but I haven't let it take me down. And all of 2023, I tried to battle the cancer naturally before I had an official diagnosis, but I ended up in the hospital April 22nd, 2024. And at that point, my tumor was huge. And thankfully, now it's much smaller. I don't have a PET scan until February. So now I'm like, okay, what am I creating for 2025? And a lot of you are probably there. Like, what am I doing for 2025? I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments what you felt about Christmas, because so many people I've talked to have been like, this year's Christmas felt so incredibly off, like so different. Not a lot of us had, I don't want to say the Christmas cheer, but we just weren't into the materialistic aspects of Christmas. Was that you? Because my family, we really were just into spending time together. We played games, we had a meal, all that stuff, right? But as far as big presents and all, we didn't do any of it. And I'm not saying you're wrong if you did. We just chose not to, and chose to really embrace just appreciating each other and spending time together. So I'm curious to see how many of you guys felt kind of wonk a little bit with this Christmas, like it wasn't your typical Christmas. But now we're moving into the last few days of the year, a couple days of the year. And I think it's really important that we set our goals, that we get very intentional about what we're creating, how we're creating it, and whatnot. I'm going to see if I can raise this camera up. Like I said, I'm doing this both on my computer and on my phone. That's a little bit better. So it's weird, but I thought I'd try to go live on TikTok because I just have not. And yeah, at the same time I'm doing Facebook. So for me, being able to think clearly and tackle things differently now, today, like today's probably the first day in months that I've come into my office, that I've felt like, okay, I have a plan, I'm going to get stuff done, and I have been getting stuff done for the last 5 hours. Where for the last 2 months, I've been in bed after radiation treatments every day during the week. And then on the weekends, just recovering from radiation. My brain is finally kicked back on. Not at full capacity, not what I'm used to doing, but my energy level's returning. So I'm like, okay, what am I creating for 2025? So, what are you guys creating for 2025? What are you wanting for 2025? And it doesn't have to be huge. Like the first step that I want to share with you guys that's really important as we reach the end of the year and set ourselves up for the new year is getting clear on what it is you want to experience. How do you want to show up in the world? What do you want to feel? You know, goals are great. Achieving goals are great. Again, I'm a high performance coach, so I like to have goals, but more importantly, it's got to come from what's aligned to my values. What am I aligning with what I'm doing, what I'm creating, and how I'm doing it to what I value most? What are my priorities? A lot of people don't focus on that. You know, we focus on gaining things. We focus on achieving big goals or some monetary financial goal. And I think we're moving away from that big time in 2025. I think a big part of what we're creating has more to do with how we feel emotionally, how we feel mentally, and what our priorities are. So, what are you creating? Like, what is it that you want to feel? For me this year, I really want to create balance and renewal. What are your words? Put it in the chat. Love to hear from you guys. And then again, if you have questions, like you've got blocks or something, and you're like, I don't know how to get beyond what I'm currently struggling with, put your questions into the chat and I can answer it right now. You know, this is free advice. Again, I've been a life coach and helping people from an intuitive level since 2000, 1999, 2000, very long time. And I've got a solid track record. So while I won't tell you what to do, I'll give you some really good advice of how to find the answers for yourself or point you in the right direction. Um, yeah. So, and I will come back to the live stream too and just check and see if I missed any comments. Hi, you guys on Facebook. Hi, Miss Cardamency. You're walking. Awesome. How are you doing? Super curious to see how you guys are doing, how you're feeling, what your thoughts are moving into the new year. How do we get past the block of imposter syndrome? That's a great question, Paula. Imposter syndrome is an interesting thing, and I don't know many people who don't struggle with it at one point or another. The one thing that you have to remember about imposter syndrome is that it is just a bunch of fears shooting out from your subconscious. So you've got to examine what your belief systems are. So whatever you're trying to overcome or create, and you're running into that feeling of like, I'm not good enough, I'm going to be found out, and all of those things with imposter syndrome, remember, you wouldn't have those thoughts if there weren't some conflicting beliefs with what you're trying to achieve. So the first thing I would say is what are my beliefs? What is getting triggered right now? What are my fears? And if you've had trauma in your life and it's not fully resolved, it could come up, but it could come up just from buried belief systems. So think about what are the belief systems you have about yourself or life that are creating the things that are popping up into your head about not being worthy, not being good enough, having to prove something, being found out. What would those be? Put that in the chat and I can help you kind of pull out more from that, and see if we can get you some better beliefs to replace whatever's showing up when you hit that imposter syndrome. I know a lot of people have struggled with that in 2024 because life has changed so much. So many things have challenged us, and it's, I get it, difficult, but remember, imposter syndrome is only coming from a place of subconscious fears, things we're not aware of. And we can still tackle things without dealing with letting those fear beliefs show up and talk us out of what we want. I'm not going to say, I'm usually pretty good at overcoming my own thoughts, my negative thinking, but through cancer, there were things that were popping up that I was like, wow, I didn't even know that was there. But it was, fear of not getting well, fear of not being able to hold it together. Like, oh my God, here I am and my business is falling apart. My life feels like it's falling apart. Am I ever going to be able to get beyond this? Those are the things that came up for me. And I would give them a voice by journaling them, putting them in my journal, but I just didn't let it stop me. So, regardless of how many times I hit that place, I did not let it shrink down what I was aiming for. And I most definitely didn't let it stop me from moving forward. And sometimes moving forward means crawling, mentally, emotionally crawling, and sometimes physically too. So, what is that, that's popping up for you? And I'll see if I can help you with that. Okay. So, what else? What else are y'all struggling with? What is going to keep you from having the best year possible in 2025? What are your thoughts about 2025? I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. And has anyone else felt this sort of energetic shift moving into today? Because it's been pretty heavy the last few weeks. I was doing well until someone I respected told me I wasn't good enough. Interesting. So someone told you weren't good enough. Where's that coming from? First of all, if we make that judgment call about somebody else, typically it's a projection. It's not a true reflection of what's going on for you. So, my question to you is, why are you giving their opinion power when they don't know all of your thoughts, your energy, your calling, your experience, your skill level? Answer that for me. Why is their opinion, belief, limitation more important to you than your own experience, knowledge, and knowing? Right? Someone tells us that we're not good enough. It's like, wow, where's that coming from? And why are you feeling you're not good enough that you need to put me down or hold me back or limit me and put me in a cage? Right? Curious why people do that. It's very curious. But when people do that, I'm like, ooh, I just triggered some sort of fear in them where they feel like they've got to push me down to get themselves up. It creates a stepping stone for them. Very negative one that has karmic repercussions, meaning cause and effect. You do that to somebody and then you're actually creating that limitation for yourself. When someone that I respect says that stuff, it's like, I've built a course, was ready to launch, been teaching for their group. When I mentioned that I was doing my own thing, they told me I don't have enough experience. So it sounds like there might be a fear that they lose access to you in doing their work. Is that possible, Paula? I've actually had a very close friend of mine who is an expert in NLP. She's a trainer and she's very, very good. And has had a person that she was helping in one of her courses try to manipulate her into staying as a teacher in her course versus branching out on her own. And the money was good, so she stayed there, but it was not fulfilling, not even a little bit for her. Overwhelmed her and burnt her out. And there's a reality there. Like when people say things to us, we have to look at what's the motivation or agenda that they have, whether or not we respect them. I respect a lot of people. However, if you're not giving me specific references to what you're saying, I'm not going to buy it. It was like I was good enough to teach for them, but not for myself. So, Paula, does it resonate with you that perhaps that person is afraid of losing you and is manipulating the outcome they want by telling you you're not good enough to go off on your own? I mean, that seems ridiculous to me. Not good enough to do it for myself, but I'm good enough to do it for you and your clients? Like, excuse me? Hello? No, that doesn't sound right. That does not sound right, not even close. So, yeah, unbelievable the things people say. So, my next question would be, if you're dealing with that kind of, I don't want to say feedback, I want to say input, why would you give them more power and more space in your head than what you know to be true? Hello, Animal Owners Alliance. After saying this out loud, I feel stupid. Don't feel stupid, because now you're beating yourself up. Like, take that whip and put it down. Don't feel stupid. When we respect people, we give them a lot of value. We give them a lot of space in our minds. Don't feel stupid. It just, to me, means the priority list of who's more important, her opinion, your opinion, is out of whack. So push yourself back up to the top. You have intuition, and I know you do. So what's your intuition say? Are you stupid? No, you're compassionate. You're open, right? Might be time and sort of a message to step back a little bit, um, and reassess that relationship. Seriously. Did it help, Paula? And you're very, very welcome. Yeah. So, yeah. Anybody else struggling with something you guys want some free life advice on, intuitive advice on, I can help y'all with? Well, I don't do straight up like psychic readings anymore. I did it for so many years. I use my gifts to help people dial down into the heart of things rather than having them direct the reading. Like, I've found over the last several years that this is more powerful and way more helpful, because you're answering your own questions. Yeah, I'm diving in and I'm connecting, but you're answering your own questions with the help of spirit. So I'd love to answer those for you guys, rather than really annoying questions like, is he coming back? Is she coming back? Or something stupid like that. How can we get past procrastination? Another good one for this time of year, right? I love these questions. So let's think about what procrastination is first. It's putting off things that we want to get done, need to get done. And usually we're procrastinating because we are overthinking. So, first question for you: are you overthinking? Are you thinking more about what you have to do rather than putting it into bite sized pieces? One of the best quotes that I rely on is that quote: how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do we tackle anything? One step at a time, one small bite at a time, not going after like the whole thing at the same time and trying to shove it all in. And when we're big picture thinkers, and I'm a big picture thinker, sometimes the picture is so big and so vast, we don't know how to dial it down into small bite-sized pieces. So, first thing, um, what's the priority? Why do you need to get it done, want to get it done? And then what's the first bite? What's the first step? What can you do first? I think that's most important. So write that in the comments. And then again, if anyone else has things they want to know about, you've got questions about, it can be general, it can be specific. You might be struggling, like Paula was, with someone who put some ideas into their head and it led to major imposter syndrome, which sucks, but people have agendas when they say things to us. Love to see it, and I'll wait. I just randomly decided to come on. This morning I decided, I do want to come on and give you guys the update. Some of you messaged me and asked me how I'm doing since my last radiation treatment. And because the fatigue from radiation was far greater than chemo, I really have not come on. I've been exhausted, but my energy is slowly starting to return. My stomach slowly starting to repair. I'm told by my doctor that fatigue will take a while. I just keep making excuses on why I don't want to be seen. Again, perfect. That is where you need to examine. If you're in my Charm Life group, this is what I would tell you. Examine what your fears are surrounded being seen, being recognized. And really, how does that affect your calling, what you're drawn to, what you're passionate about? most of the time those fears, they're literally lies from the ego, and sometimes they come from survival mechanisms, sometimes they have just been programmed into us by those parents and authority figures that are terrified of their own power, or they've just been told over and over again, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not whatever, whatever. So that's what they tell you. So figure it out. Like, what are you afraid of? And why are you afraid of being seen? What do you think is going to happen? Because in there is some judgments that will cause conflict in you moving it forward. Because here's the reality: if you're not seen, and yet you have a message and you have skills and services that will help people, you have to be seen. You want to be seen. And we just have to shift it. When we get beyond the fear of like, what we think is going to happen if we are seen, maybe people aren't paying attention or whatever, it shifts and changes. So what do you believe about being seen? And anyone else, tell me what you're struggling with. Let's break through some of this stuff so we can walk into 2025 with our own power intact. Say hello if you're watching live. Say hello. You see people coming and going off of TikTok. Those of you that are on Facebook and YouTube are staying steady. So the more I succeed, the more pushback I get from my extended family. I was shamed and had a crappy Christmas. Okay, so let's reframe that. I found out at Christmas how limited and fearful my extended family is of their own success. Start with that. See how that feels. Cartomancy, you're saying looking rough. Are you're looking rough? Feel I'm looking rough. Which one? I love this. The problem with like live streams sometimes is if I don't get complete comments, I have to actually guess at it. It's like I don't want to misinterpret. So if you can be more specific. Hello, hello. Seeing all of you guys on TikTok, it's pretty cool coming and going. And Facebook, YouTube, let's hear from you. What are your goals? What are your intentions? What are you guys setting up? For me, like one of my biggest lessons, and I did this in Charm Life the other day, like we had our final Charm Life session. And for those of you who don't know what Charm Life is my year-long mentorship program on how to become a powerful creator in your life and get through your traumas. And we have a ton of tools in there. It's a really high-end program, very deep transformation. But one of the things I had them do is really look at what are the lessons that I endured and grew through, or maybe still need to grow through in 2024, so that we know how to take those lessons, apply them to strengths in 2025. So Cartomancy, you're saying you're looking rough. Okay. How can I help you with that? What would you like from me to help you with that? I feel like, honestly, like looking in the mirror, especially now that my hair is growing, it's growing back from being bald through chemo, but it has no style. And I don't want to cut it because it needs to grow. I've always had long hair, and not having any hair and now having my hair come back. I look in the mirror and I'm like, man, you look rough. And immediately I need to change what I'm seeing and saying. So here's what I would do, and here's what I have done. I have really looked in the mirror and gone, okay, compared to how you felt 6 months ago when you were at your worst during chemo, you look pretty damn good, right? You look good. The question is, what are we trying to look like? And if we're in resistance to how we're looking, maybe the filters we have on our eyes are basically shit goggles. Cartomancy, have you ever heard me talk about shit goggles before? Those are those negative goggles we have on that are just coated in negative beliefs and thoughts and filters where we don't see the truth about who we are, right? Sometimes we have shit goggles on and we have to get rid of them. So, yeah. Anybody else? And I don't know if I've missed any of you guys on TikTok. If any of you guys on TikTok have questions, or you're struggling with something and you want some help with it, put it in the comments. And if I didn't answer you, put it again so that I can see it. Things are moving fast on things funny on TikTok. Like, it moves a lot faster because of the people joining and leaving as they scroll through their stream. Yes. Okay, good, Cartomancy. How can we get rid of those goggles? That's the deep work that I do in Charm Life. Because look, here's the thing with when we have a negative perspective about ourselves, there's usually past programming, childhood programming involved in that. There's traumas, there's all kinds of programmed unconscious beliefs and fears that got locked into our way of thinking. And it, unless we go through and examine it, and sometimes we have other blocks that come in that we're not aware of is there, it's helpful to have someone help you with that process. Like, Paula, come talk to me about Charm Life. Seriously, it will change your life. I've never had anyone enter that program that walked away with nothing. Everybody that's been in that program has changed their lives and broken through those barriers in their childhood programming and past traumas and yada, yada. You're tired and weak. So what's the problem, Miss Cartomancy, in giving yourself permission to downshift and rest until your body's up to snuff? What's the problem with it? And I understand where you're at too, because just a few weeks ago, I was sitting there beating myself up over, you've been sick almost this entire year. Like, what's the problem? Why can't you just get moving? And I was tired. I just said this a couple of weeks ago. I'm tired of being sick and tired of going through it. This scares some people. Yeah, I get that too. When we're presented with a slowdown, whether it's from health issues or it's from a financial slowdown or an energetic slowdown, like, the first thing we want to do is force and push our way through, especially if you're a high achiever like me. And I know, Cartomancy, you have always been like that. And that's the very thing we have to do. So I would say to you, like, accept the energy levels as they are and rest, rejuvenate. Give yourself permission to do that. Seriously. You want to go do stuff? Same, which has been really challenging this year because I've had to absolutely limit outside exposure because I've had no immune system for the majority of this year. And there's stuff I wanted to go ice skating. I want to do this. I want to do that. Simple things like going shopping during flu season, I have to be very, very careful of because I still to this day, don't have an immune system. And I say that because I'm dealing with fungus right now in my legs, which I've never experienced. And looking it up after chemo, it's not that unusual, right? So I'm having to apply a cream and hope that takes care of it. I'll let my doctor know, my oncologist know. But from what I've studied, it's fairly common after chemo and radiation because your immune system's shot. So I want to go do stuff too. However, now's not the time. So find other ways to go do stuff or to do stuff from home and allow your body to recoup energy, right? Don't be in resistance. Animal Alliance is saying I've been on super slowdown for everything. Me too, until today. Today's the first day that I feel like I can get moving again, have the energy and clarity. That's the one thing for many of you, even if you're not dealing with cancer like me, like, clarity has not been there. The mental clarity has not been there. Now, for me, part of that is I've been dealing with insomnia since April. And in the last 3 nights, I've gotten 14 hours of sleep, which, 7 hours for 2 nights in a row. And Literally, before that, I was sleeping 20 minutes a shot up for 2 or 3 hours. I was not getting enough sleep. And now that I actually have had 2 good nights sleep, my brain's coming back. I force myself to get up. The daylight longer is actually helping a tiny bit. Yeah. Force yourself, forcing yourself to do little bits is super powerful. I can attest to that. It's super powerful. So, all right, I'm going to end the stream on TikTok because it's distracting and I'm not necessarily getting a whole lot. I can hopefully end it. Swipe. Trying to end the stream on TikTok. There we go. All right. Now I can focus on YouTube and Facebook. I'm up and down all night most nights. Bought a shungite pyramid, put next to my bed. Also put EFT neutralizers on my phone. Did that help? Curious. I am curious. Binaural beats is great, of help. For me, part of that flip of the sleeping had to do with just being in treatment and the shock to my system, right? Like that was mine. The EFTs for my phone were bothering me. I could tell. Yeah. So that's interesting you say that, because I actually have been charging my phone across the room for the last few nights. Might have something to do with it, and have not had it near me. But on top of that, just not having treatment has helped tremendously. Just sleeping deeper. Yeah, I've had 2 very good nights of dreams, which tells me too that I'm finally sleeping, because I'm a dreamer, big time dreamer. And when I don't have dreams, I know I'm not getting deep enough sleep. My dreams are normally very lucid, and they were, to the point where I had to go through and pull the symbology from it and understand what they're speaking to me about life. All right. Anybody else have stuff you guys are going through, want help with? For me, over the next 24 to 48 hours, I am literally creating a vision that I can build into a picture that's easy for me to imagine at nighttime as I go to sleep. Because when you fall asleep in the vision of what you want your life to be, your subconscious doesn't know the difference between, is it happening in real life or is it just happening in the dream state, right? Which will manifest your dreams much faster, your vision much faster. So curious to see what you're aiming for 2025 too. I'm literally, now that I can think, writing all kinds of stuff down, getting stuff done too. I paid my bills today. I made an eye appointment finally. How do we do that? Can you expand on that comment, Paula? Which part? I'm a dreamer too. I have to move. I'm not making any decisions, having a hard time. All right. So what decisions do you need to make? First of all, what's the first decision that you need to make that's going to help you the most? That's the question that I would ask myself. What do I need to decide upon today, right now, number one, that's going to get my life and me moving forward? What's the decision? If you want to type that in, I'll help you walk through it. No. So here's the thought for those of you who are on this live stream. I am more than happy to jump into our Gold Factor community and do I don't know if I guess I could do it from my phone, a live where I can invite you on and coach you right then and there live, or we can do a Zoom. Harder to broadcast Zoom into groups. They've changed it so much. Where to move to? Ooh, I like it. How do we build the image? So first, again, what do I want? How do I want to live? If I had everything happen, so I'll answer this for you, Paula, first, and then I'll move on to Helping Animals Alliance. So We build a vision by getting very clear on what does it look like if I have what I want, it's already happened. How do I feel? What am I saying? Where am I at? What's my energy level? That's how we build that vision. And then you tell a little story around it and you build images as if it's happening. Imagine that as you're falling asleep, that you're at the end of it, like it's already happened. I'm living that dream life. What does that look like? How does that feel? What do you hear? Right? Go there, see what happens. Um, the more specific we are with how that feels and what that looks like, the easier it is to build an actual vision that we can envision as we're falling asleep. All right. Not sure how to decide. Oh, that's interesting. So, what's important to you? As far as what do you want included? Um, Let me just give you the example. When I was trying to decide from Washington to where we were going to move, I wrote a list of where or what I wanted. So I didn't want to deal with rain or snow all the time. I wanted someplace warm. I wanted someplace that was far more affordable, had access to high speed internet, somewhat in or near the city, but not in the city. And for me, like those are the things I put down on a piece of paper. And then I just started plugging that into searches. And I wanted low crime, right? I wanted all kinds of stuff. We had to have an ice skating rink nearby, a place where there's country that if I decide to get back into horses, I can, like place where we can grow, a place that had good airlines and cheap flights so that when I decide to travel, I can. All of those things were important to me. I would start with making a list of those things, right? And if you're not making a huge move, you're trying to stay in the same town, then it's also about how much land do you want to take care of? What do you want that to look like? What do you want your day to look like? As much as I miss having chickens and goats and horses, like, and gardens, and I would like in some ways to live in a place that had all of that. The reality is I don't want to take care of that stuff anymore. I was just thinking about this yesterday. It's like, man, I miss my goats and I miss the chickens. I do miss all of that. I do not miss waking up in the mornings and having to milk goats and feed and pick up poop and do all the things, right? Like, it's at 58, it's a lot. If I lived somewhere where someone else was already doing it, that would be one thing. Or it was next door where I could go visit it, that'd be one thing. But I actually don't know that I want to have a farm again because it's a ton of work. And leaving is impossible. I want to travel. So having that many animals, it makes it very difficult to travel, right? It also has to feel right. Good feeling. I'm sensitive. Perfect. Add that on. And what would that? So, how much nature? What kind of nature? Is it mountains? Is it city or not city? Meadows? What is that? Get as detailed as you can, so that you know where it will work and where it won't. Government is important too. It's one question I have about how long I want to stay in Texas. Part of me would love to sell everything and live in Asia somewhere like Japan, or Italy, or like, I don't know. It is a ton of work, right? And there's a season for everything. This is something I have to remember and remind myself of. There's a season for everything. And the season of taking care of animals and gardens and children and all those things, I already did that. And while I love being around those things, I don't want to have to be responsible for them anymore. Not at my age. I don't feel like I want all of that. I have dogs and cats. Like, that's that. I want to change my whole life, almost everything. Charm life. Come talk to me about charm life. Come enroll in charm life. While we can't change our whole life at one time, we can change one thing at a time. tackle one big area of our life at a time, as we move through and create changes, it starts to create a ripple effect. And that's what I do in Charm Life. This is the very process I took from going from hating my life and desperation and lack in the late 90s to living the life of my dreams very quickly. 111. There you go, Margarita. Charm Life. All right. You feel like this is temporary. Isn't all of life feeling kind of temporary? There's so much uncertainty. And let me speak to that before I go. There has been so much uncertainty in the world moving forward as far as what we're being fed from media and social media and just mass consciousness. And I want to be very clear about this. The energy of uncertainty sometimes is just us resisting the shifting, changing, and transitions for the transformation that's taking place. Like this thing where we feel like we have to know to be safe, to be secure, that has to go away. We've got to embrace more of the trust in the divine universe. We have to trust that the period we're in is for our highest good. We have to trust that we are being guided and supported, right? Should we write down a vision for 2025? Absolutely. I would write down, so rather than going, especially if you're already overwhelmed, rather than going the entire year for 2025, you can generalize what the end of 2025, what you want, to have accomplished. That's great. Create a vision around that. But here's what I would do. If you're already indecisive, overwhelmed, and feeling uncertain, create a vision for the next 3 months, the next 90 days, where at the end of 90 days, this is what I want to feel, be experiencing, think, and be living. 90 days. Rather than doing the whole year, right? You can do a generalized, this is what I want to feel at the end of the year, short, but the next 90 days. So at the end of March 2025, this is the vision of what I want my life to look like, what I have accomplished, where I'm at, right? And it can be ways of being. And I suggest we focus more this year on who am I being rather than what do I have. You can focus it on what am I doing, what's around me, what's my day-to-day look like, how do I feel at the end of every day. That's much easier. Because life has been so overwhelming in 2024, and for some of you like me, it's still a lot of overwhelm moving forward. It's much easier if we just take the overall, okay, this is what I want at the end of 2025. So let me give you an example for me. At the end of 2025, I want to absolutely be 100% healthy, no evidence of disease, right? None. Have my physical shape muscular and vital. I want to be active and have had amazing experiences and connections with others all of 2025. Growth in my business 500% from where I am right now, like exponential growth, helping thousands of people in 2025, and have traveled and experienced some amazing things for the very first time. That's the end of the year. The first quarter, first 30 or 90 days of the year, these are the things that eating better, detoxing my body, right? Be in a routine and creating habits where I am back to exercising, I am juicing, and my calorie intake has been set. I'm working X amount of hours a day with X amount of hours of free time, and this is what I'm doing during my free time. And this is how I feel at the end of the day. That's my 90-day. That's what I will fill in. Does that help? No problem, Animal Alliance. For anyone who has not looked into Charm Life, has not, jump on a call with me. I actually have to approve every person that joins, and it's much easier for me to tell you what it's about and what's included and then show you in a Zoom call what's in the portal than it is to try and send you just to a page. So yeah, get in touch with me, private message me. So yeah, that's what I would do. And do it as much as you can. Get as much of that as you can done by tomorrow before midnight. right? We want to walk into the new year, 2025, with as much clarity as we can muster for our own lives. Absolutely. That's why I'm here. So, yeah. And the other part of this that I would say, it's really important that you make a list of things that you're letting go of as we enter into the new year, and get rid of that. Like, write a list for tomorrow night and make it ceremonial. Like, this is what I'm leaving behind in 2024. Confusion can be one of the things, right? So the opposite of what I'm aiming for. So I want clarity. I want my brain back. So I'm letting go of confusion, exhaustion. I'm letting go of cancer treatments. I'm letting go of conflicts and challenges in my health. I'm letting go of any conflicts and contraction in my finances. Letting all of that, like, end of 2024, that is where it ends. 2025, expansion, abundance, vitality, energy, clarity, all those energies is what I'm walking in with. Discipline, motivation, inspiration, passion, all of those things are what I'm creating into 2025. And there's certain things that I absolutely want to achieve and absolutely want to experience. And that's where I will get very specific, right? So you can use that to help you figure out, what am I letting go of? I'm definitely letting go of the need to push, 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 which got me here to begin with, being sick. Like, I'm letting go of the need to drive forward and force things forward all the time. I am embracing balance, rejuvenation, recovery in 2025. What's that look like? I don't know. But if I speak that into being, that like 2025 is a year of regeneration, rebirth, recovery, of all the things that I feel like I lost in 2024, it's going to be phenomenal, right? That's the intention I'm setting for the year. Laughter. I am putting that as a major, major intention for 2025, because there was a lot of tears in 2024. As far as physical pain and suffering, I'm leaving that behind, right? I'm going to feel younger and more vibrant in 2025 than I have in the last 10 years, even though I just had my 58th birthday. Like, that is what I'm taking into 2025. That's the energy that I am clothing myself with walking into 2025. So what energy are you walking into 2025 with? Have you guys got some ideas now of how to do this in such an intentional way? And if you need to still heal from past traumas, limiting beliefs, fears, programs from others, then the awareness and power over those things is what you want to walk into 2025 with. That intention that you are aware and awake to everything that holds you back, and that you have the tools and the skills to overcome those things, to use them as stepping stones rather than chains of restriction. Then again, if you need help with that, I am enrolling into Charm Life. I'm welcoming in new people this year, but I do need to jump on a call with you, a Zoom call, or telephone call, but preferably Zoom, so we can actually connect eye to eye, and I can share my screen and show you all of what's in the portal. But remember, we have live coaching weekly. I have one of my people that's in Hidden Wisdom now that graduated out of Charm Life is saying, like, I miss the weekly coaching. Why is it important to have weekly coaching when you're going through life transformation? Because if too much time is in between the things that that you're growing through, your ego and your fears start to take hold again. So we do it weekly to keep the support there, to keep the accountability there, to keep the lessons going, and you're just in a continual cycle of growth. And if you can't attend the live, everything's on replay. And I try to get the coaching replays up that night. And we have it every Thursday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's been that way since 2015, 14, however long. So yeah, come talk to me. And if that's too big of a commitment for you, come join us in Hidden Wisdom. That one you can actually go see on my website. So bernadettegold.com/, hidden wisdom, and see what that's about. And I coach them once a month, and there's many programs or little teachings in there that you have access to. But Charm Life is comprehensive, deep transformational work that will change your life. And you're working with me one-on-one in a group setting. So, all right, get to work on creating, people, and creating your intentions for the year. What am I leaving behind? What am I bringing with? And like I said, if a year's too long, and even if you do create the overall vision, overarching end of the year, like on December 31st, 2025, this is how I'm going to feel, and all the things in a generalized fashion that has changed, create that vision and then back it up. The first 90 days of 2025, this is what I experienced, and I'm so grateful that I build a story on that and go to sleep imagining that. The images go with that. Let's get it done. All right. I will see you guys later.